This is Quake 2 RTX. I started playing it when I got a PC that could run it. One downside of Quake 2 RTX, it doesn't have the original soundtrack. You can manually install it, but you have to find it first. It looks better than the Quake 2 remaster with more realistic shadows and lighting, but it's more of a tech demo and doesn't make Quake 2 as accessible to new players as the remaster does.
The head of SETI will give a full press conference today in the wake of the verified and authentic non-terrestrial transmission coming from just beyond the asteroid belt in our solar system.
Contact with the colony on Mars will be re-established and have nothing to do with the impending arrival of the mysterious aliens.
The McCulloch space station has just been destroyed.
Broken from the main body and then systematically destroyed satellites at random and at will.
This may indicate
And Tokyo.
Black
On the list of recent devastated cities.
And the UN president gave a uplifting farewell speech as these brave soldiers took the fight to the Strobe's home planet. We, the rest of humanity, wish them luck and Godspeed as well.
Quake 2 had one of the best PC game intros of the 90s, and it's been remastered here without spoiling the original. The game came out 4 years after Doom, but there's no difference between a game released today and one 4 years ago. Graphic cards were starting to come into their own in the early 90s, so you would have needed to buy a Voodoo 2 graphics card to play Quake 2 on your Windows 95 PC. You really had to have been a gamer at the time to appreciate the impact the game had when it first came out, with player-created mods and the multiplayer community. Quake 2 was the first game I've seen to get a retail Linux release. One thing that's missing is the original soundtrack, which really helped make Quake 2 a classic. Playing Quake 2 without the soundtrack is like playing Doom Eternal without its soundtrack or watching Flash Gordon without the Queen songs. The remastered version of Quake 2 has a lot of accessibility options, the greatest addition being the compass, which shows you where to go. This helps as the game involves a lot of backtracking, and some switches are easy to miss, especially in later levels. Unlike most first-person shooters of the time, you don't have a melee weapon. You start off with a blaster with infinite ammo, then you get the super shotgun, which is your main weapon, until you get one of the greatest game weapons ever, the railgun. It also includes Quake 64, a game that few players would have played. It's a bit blocky, but it has the compass, which makes it a lot easier. It doesn't have the PlayStation version of Quake 2, which required a PlayStation mouse. The best thing about that version was that it had the original soundtrack, which is probably why it isn't included in the remaster. Overall, Quake 2 is still a great first-person shooter, and the remastered version makes it more accessible to modern audiences.